Am I the a-hole for not acknowledging my step-grandchildren when their mothers, my stepdaughters, made it clear I was no family of theirs? I need to know if I'm being heartless or if I'm justified. I, 52 female, am married to my husband. Let's call him Mark, 57 male. I have 3 children with my husband and 3 stepchildren from his previous marriage. My husband's previous wife died in childbirth, leaving him with 2 daughters, Eva, now 38, and Lisa, 36, as well as my stepson, Michael, 27. Michael is my son through and through, but my stepdaughters never acknowledged me in any capacity. On a good day, I was simply the woman married to their dad. On a normal day, I didn't exist, and on bad days, I was the pick-me girl who tried but failed to replace their mom. They went low contact with my husband when they left for their respective colleges, and no contact with me. A behavior that was encouraged and, I'd say, heavily influenced by their maternal grandparents. They came back into my husband's life when Lisa was getting married, with demands that he pay for her wedding and house, something he agreed to and later did for Eva as well. I felt like they were just using my husband, but I didn't say anything about it, as I saw how happy he was to have them back, especially after being devastated when they ignored him for so long. They didn't invite me to their weddings and made it clear when they had kids that I was not their family. My husband and son tried to push back against this, but I discouraged it, as I didn't have much of an emotional connection with them. I chose to let it go and not make a big deal about it. They rejected me enough as teens, and I said nothing, because I didn't want it to come across as if I were forcing myself on them, but I definitely don't need to stomach that behavior from them as adults. We continued on like this for a couple of years, but things changed when Michael and my other son Tyler got married and had their respective kids. My daughters-in-law involved me with everything in their lives, including their children's births. As a result, I'm very close to them and their kids. I only see Lisa and Eva's children at family gatherings and have no relationship or emotional connection to them whatsoever. Lisa and Eva have recently started a campaign against me to extended family members about my extreme favoritism toward my grandkids and lack of effort toward their kids. Honestly, I'm not bothered, and they aren't lying. My grandkids from my 2 sons are highly favored by me. They can never confront me, as we almost never talk beyond hellos, how are yous, and goodbyes. But they've also tried to involve my sons and their wives in this mess. Michael and his wife were there when the wedding fiasco went down, so they're not buying into this nonsense. Tyler is unbothered, as their treatment of me also extended to him and my other 2 children. His wife is loyal to me, but feels very sorry for the children involved. My husband has made it clear that he will not force me to do anything I don't want to do, the same way he didn't force them to involve or include me in their lives or that of their kids. Extended family members are very vocal about their disapproval of my behavior, but I don't treat those kids badly. I'm hardly ever around them. When I am, I'm very polite toward them. I don't initiate hugs, as I don't want to overstep, but I return them when they're given. I buy gifts for them at Christmas, just like I do with every other child. When together, I include them in any activities I do with my other grandkids, as I don't want them to feel left out. I treat them all equally during those moments. I just don't go out of my way to involve myself in their day-to-day lives like I do with my other grandkids. And honestly, I'm totally unbothered by Lisa and Eva's campaign against me. I feel like they made it a point to reject me, and also rejected me on behalf of their kids, and that's why I'm not close to them. I honestly don't feel like putting in the effort at this point. I'm human, and I've been rejected enough. I don't want to let them or their kids in, and I feel like they only want in because they see the benefits my other grandkids get to enjoy. I think they want to manipulate the situation and use me for their benefit, just like they used their father. I think their children are also just tools in this situation. And unfortunately, I'm not in a position to do anything for them, as that would mean allowing their mothers to have access to me, and I'm not comfortable with that. Am I wrong for keeping the distance and not really wanting to acknowledge them as my grandkids? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. Your stepdaughters are just mad that they're not getting the reaction they wanted from you. Literally gave them nothing. Now they're using their kids as last straw for emotional guilt. Again, too bad you have none for them. Seriously, they've been cold for years and now want to use their kids to force a connection? Nah, you don't get to treat someone like they're nothing and then expect them to suddenly pour love and energy into your life. That's not how any of this works. It doesn't sound like they want a connection with OP though. It's just extended family that are getting involved and coming after OP. It sounds like someone asked the daughters about OP's relationship with their kids, and they blamed her for why the kids rarely see their step-grandmother, and eventually it got around and caused the extended family to come after her. Well, honestly, it sounds exhausting. I'm just wondering though, do you think that extended family's disapproval stems more from genuine concern for the grandkids, or simply a desire to get to you? It's a tricky situation. Trust me, it is as exhausting as it sounds. Apart from feeling like they are using the children, I haven't seen anything to suggest that they treat their kids badly or that there's anything to worry about. I can't figure out my extended family as well. They were against what happened with the wedding thing. And this is what's making me a bit unsure. Some are aggressive and unreasonable in their approach, which makes me think they just want drama. Those that have taken calmer approach are just so repetitive with it that it makes me feel like they trying to calm me into submission. Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my sister to stop talking about her divorce around me? My sister and her husband are getting a divorce. He moved out of the family home and filed. My sister didn't see it coming despite warnings that it could happen because she went behind his back. The story basically goes, she married him, knowing he had absolutely no interest in having his mom, stepdad, or half-siblings in his life. He didn't like his stepdad. He didn't want half-siblings. That was something everyone in our family knew. He was open about having no desire for contact. My sister married him, had kids with him, and then decided he was wrong to deny his family for being steps and halves. So, she was making contact and introducing the kids behind his back. She argued with him when he found out and said if nobody else, his half-siblings deserve to be included because they're the most innocent in his family. They didn't ask to be born and weren't a part of any of the wrongs his mom and stepdad did. He told her he wanted nothing to do with them and they weren't his real siblings anyway. He also told her she had gone behind his back and betrayed his trust, and he was not going to stand for it or allow their kids to see that man as grandpa or those kids as aunts and uncles. My sister doesn't want her marriage to end, but has also been angry at her husband because he's correcting stuff she told their kids about the stepdad and half-siblings, and has told their kids they, stepdad and half-siblings, are not family and stuff. She's mad at him for that, because the kids are more resistant now to contact with their paternal side. And don't call them grandparents, aunts, or uncles anymore, but she also doesn't want to divorce her husband. It's a mess. It's crazy. My parents are encouraging her to open up and stuff, to talk about it. I'm less sympathetic and patient. It's 6 months on from him filing, and I can't be around my extended family without hearing about this. My sister goes from bad-mouthing her husband to saying she hopes he calls off the divorce and they can work out and be a family again. My sister also tries to talk to me just one-on-one about it. I think my reason for being so indifferent to this, annoyed about hearing it, is because she knew how he felt. She knew what his boundaries were with his family. She had a choice not to marry him. She had a choice not to go behind his back. To expect he'd be fine with it when she knew, regardless of what anyone thinks of his actions. Hers were not that smart, and should not come as a surprise, and I don't feel bad for her. I do, however, feel bad for the kids caught in the middle. When my sister tried to talk about the divorce again 2 or 3 days ago, I asked her to stop talking about it with and around me. She asked how I could be so cold, and I told her it wasn't like people didn't warn her. My parents did before they got married, because they didn't like how her husband felt about the half-siblings. And hearing about this over and over is getting so old. Am I the a-hole? As far as I'm concerned, you taking his side says that you condone his actions. She also condoned his actions by marrying and having kids with him then. No, she didn't. And she has shown that by not going along with his behavior. She did. She married him knowing he was not talking to his step family. Married him knowing he wanted them to have nothing to do with future children. And she had children with him knowing that too. She went along with his behavior for years. For extra context, he didn't invite them to their wedding. She never even met them before she made contact with them herself. She had kids with someone she knew had no intention of introducing them to his family. These are things she knew and condoned for a long time before she decided she didn't agree. Not the a-hole. Putting aside her actions, which are deplorable, you don't get to decide who will be your emotional support human, especially when they are conflicted. She has a wide range of people who can console her and let her rant. You don't need to be one. You can't change the situation. If she doesn't understand why it is happening, she never will. Getting old is maybe a bit harsh, but refocusing from, I can't help you with that, but what else do you need help with? Some people are better at offering practical support than emotional. I agree with you, the poor kids. It's going to be so confusing for them. Mom says one thing, Dad says another. Mom says these are Dad's family. Dad denies them and refuses to be around them. Not to mention going from seemingly happy family to divorced family fast for them. Ugh, I hope they feel loved and supported through all this regardless. And what I still come back to is she knew. My sister's husband was clear, so this was no great shock to her. She just felt she knew better than him and she could get away with it, with nothing else changing. I'm entirely confused as to why it's so important for your sister that she and her kids have a relationship with his step family. They mean nothing to her. They mean nothing to him. As far as the kids know, they're just distant cousins. So why is she so adamant? She knew it was going to cause issues. She did it anyway, and then doubled down afterwards. I'm calling her lies. She sabotaged the marriage because she didn't want to be the one calling for the divorce, and now she needs to play the victim to everyone and anyone she can possibly do so, in order to provide her a cover story. She wanted to be the hero who brought the family together. Last story. Am I the a-hole for expecting my husband to be home every night that we have his kids, my step-kids, at home? My husband has 2 kids from his previous marriage. Both boys, 12 and 14. They are sweet kids, but they're teenage boys. They're wild. They tend to get into fights. They're messy, and listening is not their best life skill at this stage of brain development. I do not have biological kids of my own. I met these kids when we started dating about 4 years ago, and we've all lived together for about 2.5 years. Long story, but we moved last summer about 60 miles from our old home. The move was because the boy's bio mom got remarried to a guy who lived in a different part of the state. To avoid the kids bearing the brunt of the commute, we agreed to move. My husband still commutes to work, and I work from home full-time now. We have 50-50 custody of his kids. During the school year, we never have the kids on Monday or Tuesday nights. My husband enjoys playing in low-stakes bar poker games, so he generally does that on Mondays and Tuesdays. It's a very long drive to the venue where he plays, so he stays with friends near our old house on those nights and doesn't come home. Not my favorite arrangement, but I go out of my way to ensure he feels like he has autonomy to enjoy his hobbies, something he definitely didn't have in marriage number 1. The issue has come up with regard to our summer custody schedule, which switches to 1 week on, 1 week off from the normal school year schedule. It recently came out in conversation that he expected to still play in his poker game on Tuesday nights during the summer, and that he was fully planning on staying with friends and not coming home those nights. It has always been our understanding and agreement that he would be home any night we have the boys here. When I brought this up, he told me he didn't think it was a big deal to not be home 1 night a week, and to expect me to handle everything on those nights. I am super uncomfortable being here with them alone. They make me anxious. I hate when they fight, and I don't think it's my place as a step-parent to discipline them. If they were kids who just read books and sat in silence all night, I might feel differently. But there's always a greater than 0% chance that someone is literally throwing punches, and I have no interest in being solely in charge of that situation. I already am the default parent for laundry, school pickup, scheduling, meals, and the primary caretaker anytime during school breaks, since I work from home. I have clearly communicated to my husband how I feel about being here alone with them, so he is aware. Beyond how it impacts me, I don't think it's a great example for the kids either. It's not like my husband is on work trips. It's like, hey, Dad would rather play poker than be here with you. I just feel like part of being a parent is you have to plan your life around kid stuff. My husband already has it easier than most because of the joint custody and the fact that I am happy to sacrifice some of the few days we would have alone for the two of us so that he can pursue this hobby. So serve it to me straight. Am I the a-hole here? My husband is making me feel like I am, but I just feel like this is me making a reasonable ask and trying to set a very legitimate boundary. Now for the comments. Wow, you moved 60 miles to accommodate his custody schedule. He doesn't come home from Monday a.m. to Wednesday evening so that he can play poker with the guys, and I hope that's all that's going on. And then you two have his boys Wednesday, Thursday, and I presume every other weekend. So you guys get time alone together every other weekend, Friday night through Monday morning? Not good. Now he wants you to be the overnight sitter for his boys so that he can play poker and sleep over there. You are right to tell him that you are unhappy with this arrangement. You're right to tell him that you're unhappy with the arrangement altogether. You get 3 nights home alone with him every 2 weeks, while he spends 4 nights playing poker and sleeping there every 2 weeks. I don't know what to tell you about this. I would say that you are absolutely right to tell him that he needs to be there when his children are there, but I also think that you would be right to point out to him that he spends 4 nights every 2 weeks on poker and only 3 nights every 2 weeks home alone with you. You nailed it. That's exactly our situation. It's not working out, to be honest. I have far more self-esteem than when I first started dating this man. I have done a ton of personal development, therapy, and trauma healing over the past several years. I dearly love this man and have fought like heck to make it work, but it's becoming more and more apparent to me that he does not want to truly be a partner in a relationship. Back when this was happening to my brother and I, there was no 50-50 custody, so maybe people just view it different now. But for us, if we would go to my dad's house for a weekend and he wasn't available, we'd be wondering why the heck we were there. To hang out with our stepmom who we didn't really get along with anyway, when we could have been home instead with our stuff and our friends. Thank you. This is exactly my point to him. The kids never outright say it, but they're always kind of like, oh, so why are we here if our dad isn't? We have a fine relationship, but they don't want to hang out with me. They want to spend time with him. I bet it was one of the reasons of his divorce.